Hey, New Life Church, my name is Melvin, and I'm one of the pastors at our greater Little Rock campus. My wife Tori and I were youth pastors there, and we love it so much. It's an absolute blast. But hey, I want to start off with a couple of questions. But have you ever been angry? Now, I know that's such a broad question, and you're probably nodding like, yeah. Have you ever been angry at someone? And you probably did this morning when that person cut you off on the way to work or on the way back home or something. But one more question. Have you ever been angry at someone, but it was your fault, or maybe you're the reason why things went wrong? Okay, now that's where I can raise my hand because I have messed up in that so much, especially in a ton of past friendships and relationships. But what does the word say about anger? So Jesus weighs this topic a couple of ways. In the last few devotionals we've been going through the book of Matthew, and I hope you've been enjoying it. It's been really cool. And even before you got to this Devo, you've been learning so many different things, and you're probably in the part where it's like Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount. He's talking about the Beatitudes, and he gets to this point where he's talking to his disciples, and he tells them this, and he says, look, I'm not here to abolish the law, but I came to fulfill it. Like, whoa, like that's so cool. Afterwards, he begins to teach one of 6 teachings that correlate with the 10 commandments, one of those being anger. And so that's what we're going to read. If you want to follow along, I'm reading Matthew 5 through 21, or Matthew 5, 21 through 26. And it says, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, raka, which means worthless, is answerable to the court, and anyone who says you fool will be in danger of the fire of hell. All right, so let's take a quick pause here because it's not the most encouraging verse in the Bible. And maybe you're also like, well, Melv, like God got angry too, right? Jesus got angry too, like with religious people. And in Ephesians 4:26, it says, be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath. So what these scriptures are telling me is that there is a good type of anger, like righteous anger, but then there's also a not so good type of anger that literally correlates to the same level of murder. And what these scriptures are telling me like about anger is just don't dwell on it. Don't let anger build up in your life. So what anger is good and what anger is bad? Jesus answers them in the next few verses. So here's the first example in verse 23 and 24. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go be reconciled to them and then come and offer your gift. In other words, what Jesus is saying here is don't wait to seek forgiveness or wait to make it right with someone or something for what you already done. Like, go and reconcile with them. Go and restore things with them. Like, don't go to church and worship whenever you did someone wrong. Like, be so quick to just go seek forgiveness, say sorry, even if it's like your child or a spouse or a friend. Go make things right before you go worship the Lord. And then another example, 25 and 26. Settle matters quickly with your adversary who is talking to you, taking you to court. Do it while you are still together on the way, or your adversary may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may be thrown into prison. Truly, I tell you, you will not go out until you have paid the last penny. In this example, Jesus is saying that if there are issues between you and somebody else, it's better to make a friend than to make an enemy, especially if you're the one that's in the wrong. So go make it right, because in both of these examples, Jesus warns the people that are in the wrong. We have to be careful not to be angry, especially the times when it's us that screw up, because in God's eyes, it's the same as murder. Like, for real, how often are we quick to get angry at somebody that disagrees with us, or something that may have said or done, or we have done something wrong to them? But Jesus calls us to be better than that. Jesus calls us to be quick to listen, be quick to forgive. I love this scripture a lot because recently, guys, I had to seek forgiveness from someone from anger that I had. About 10 years ago, I used to live in Fort Smith, Arkansas. I lived there for a couple of years. I didn't go to New Life Church yet, but I loved Jesus. I was a 15-year-old on fire for Christ. And then one day my parents decided that we were going to move to New York. And so the hardest thing that I left was all my friends, because I made a really good friend at the great friends at the youth group. I was growing in my relationship with the Lord. I was winning people at my school every day. And so we moved, and honestly, it was hard. I moved to New York, and I stopped following Jesus for a while. But along with this, a lot of my friends stopped reaching out to me and talking to me. And so honestly, it just built up a lot of bitterness and anger in my heart, because I was like, these guys are supposed to be Christians, like they're from church. Why did they forget about me? Like, why don't they love me anymore? And so a few years later, I ended up moving back to Arkansas, go to Conway for UCA. This is 2014. And I try to hang out with that friend group again. And guys, they didn't want to hang out with me, and it hurt me, and it made me so angry. And so for a while, I was just so angry. Like, anybody that was trying to invite me to church, I would just turn the other cheek, because I was like, I'm not about it. I'm not doing this. And then one day, I gave my life to Jesus my freshman year of college, and 8 years later, I get connected to New Life, or 8 years later, I've been connected to New Life Church. I led in different places, and I became a youth pastor, and it was awesome. But 2 months ago, I'll go to WrestleMania, this fun little wrestling thing out in Dallas, and my car messes up at Fort Smith, and so I get stuck in Fort Smith, Arkansas for a couple of days, and I end up getting it fixed. But I believe God had me there for a reason, because literally that same weekend I was there, I was able to reach out to that friend and just talk to him and just reconcile things. And I was just like, so what's the deal? It's been 10 years since we've talked, and 10 years since we've been friends. Like, why did you stop reaching out to me? And this is the crazy part, guys. He looked at me in the eyes and he goes, what do you mean? I didn't stop reaching out to you. You stopped talking to me. And that's when it hit me. I was angry at one of my best friends for 10 years, and I never chose to just be really quick to forgive him. And so 10 years of no friendship with him, I was just filled with so much anger and bitterness. And finally, we're good now. And he's getting married. I'm getting to hang out with him really soon for his bachelor party. But the reason why I tell you guys this story is, during this Devo, who did God lay in your heart to reconcile with? Who did God lay in your heart to ask forgiveness from? Who is someone that you're angry at, that it may not even been anything that they done? It's just something that you don't see that you may have done, that you just need to just go talk to them. Hey, I want to challenge you to go speak to them, because you never know what might happen. 10 years later, I was able to reconnect with one of my best friends.